continue the visit?
नहीं, पर इतना साउंड ठीक है.
हाँ, ठीक है. Hello everyone. Good evening for second session of Burgeon. Okay, Burgeon is a series which is started by Arannya with the hope that it provides a platform for our younger generation who has kept their first step in the field of wildlife and environment research. So I welcome everyone. So those who are attending this session for the first time, I would like to give you a brief background about what it is. So for each session of Burgeon, we have one participant who is a youngster, especially from a graduate college, who will speak about their work for a period of around 20 minutes to 25 minutes, after which we will have a feedback and an encouragement session by our subject experts. So this happens every week, that is on Wednesday that is at 5 p.m. So for today, we have with us Mr. Aamir Jakati, who is student of Ganpat Varsikar College of Education, Harmal, Goa, and he has started his work on ants. And he will be sharing with us his fascinating journey with ants, which he has experienced. And I'm very pleased today to welcome our today's subject expert, Dr. Himender Bharti, who is known to us as the Ant-Man of India, and he is head of the Department of Zoology and Environmental Studies at Punjabi University. He has around 104, if I'm not wrong, around 104 scientific publications on his name, and he has conducted many major projects in the country. And these projects mainly revolves around statistics, systematics, evolutionary biology, molecular phylogenetics, ecology, conservation, and chemical ecology. I welcome you, sir, for today's session.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, welcome, sir. And we will also have Miss Radha Barve, who is a PhD student under Dr. Himender Bharti. I think she has some internet issues, so by the time she will join, we will have more discussion about her. But she is working on molecular phylogeny and phylogeography or some rare and genera. So I also welcome Miss Barve. Without wasting much of time, I would request Amir to begin with his presentation. Amir, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Am I audible to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Myself, Aamir Jakati, a student of Ganpat Parsika College of Education. And today I'll be talking about my fascinating journey with ants. So, firstly, I thank Aranya Environment Research Organization for giving me this platform for talking about my field of interest. So, moving forward, the first thing is that my title suggests it's a fascinating journey. So, my journey somewhere started with my childhood, that is in Valpoi Sattari, where I stay. Valpai Sattari is in the foothills of Western Ghats, and I was really fascinated and amused by the wildlife, by the nature which Valpai Sattari has, and it always inspired me to learn more about it. So, and in my college time when I was doing my graduation, at that time I got a notice from my HOD that there is a bird festival that is going to be held, that is the second bird festival of Goa, and if you want you can join there. So it was a really good thing for me because I wanted to just go. That was my first thing, that I was not knowing about birds, but I wanted to go and just learn something about nature. That was my first priority in that. So in the bird festival, I met Miss Harshada Gans, and the way she explained birds, the way she explained nature, it inspired me a lot to have a positive attitude towards birds. And also, I was really fascinated by how many birds are present, because where we stay there are like many birds, but we don't observe it very carefully. So that was a very first step for me to keenly observe nature and its species. So then I had a craze for birding. I used to bird every time. I used to look at birds. I used to stare them, and just my journey started. And then one fine day, after returning from the bird festival in my college, during the lecture time, I was not at all more interested in listening to the lecture part, but I was more interested in looking outside the class. So that's where my teacher, that is Miss Kavita Nair, she observed this, that I am more interested in field work and outside the exploring the nature. So she told me that why don't you go and ask some of the scientists, some of the wildlifers who are working in the Goa's forest, because Goa is having very good sanctuaries. They're having very good biodiversity. So many of them are working over here. So you can go and ask them that if you can be the intern in their research and project. So I contact many of the researchers who were there, because I was in the group of GBCN and I was having a craze for birds and I wanted to do something with birds. So I contact many of them, and also then I contact one fine day I contact Mr. Pranay Bhatia, and I was till then I was not knowing that he is into ants and he is working with ants in the Goa's forest. And I was knowing that he's also good with birds, so I was always in contact with him earlier. Then I asked him that can I be your intern if you are doing some project. So he told me that it will be a great thing that I will you will be my intern. So he took me as his intern, and he told me about him that he actually work on ants. In Now at this time he is working on ants in Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. So I was not at all that much interested in ants at that time, because what I had was the interest for birds. So I thought that if he's taking me, it will be a great thing. The first I want what is that I want to go there. I want to learn something. So that was my main aim by going with him. Then we went to Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. So where I stay, I have three wildlife sanctuaries very much close to me. That is the Madhe Wildlife Sanctuary, the Bondla Wildlife Sanctuary, and Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary and Molan National Park. So these three protected areas are very much close to me. So this was the first time when I visited Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. So when we went there, the first day when we were walking through the forest, earlier the main fascinating thing which happened over here was that when we were walking through forest, I saw different type of species of plant, different texture of forest. So I was very much fascinated and curious about it. So I asked Mr. Pranay Pedya that why this area is having this type of like plants and this texture, and why not this. So he told me that there are three types of forest in Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. That is, first one is the moist deciduous, second one is the semi evergreen, and third one is wet evergreen. So these are three types of forest, but we are not having any prominent type of forest, but a mixture of forest like this, so we can differentiate it. So then the next thing what I learned and observed, that researchers do data collection. So they have the data parameters. So something like they are having temperature data, like the measurement of temperature. Then you have the collection of specimens, and you have collection of soil samples. So these are some of the data parameters what a researcher has in its project, like parameters. So this is the photo captured by Mr. Pranay Vaidya when I was noting down the data. But for me, the main thing is that these data parameters, like the temperature of the soil, like the soil sample, like the leaf litter collection, this was not at all that much fascinating to me. But what was very much fascinating to me was the pitfall trap. That in the pitfall trap, when it was placed, we used to get specimens in it. So this was a very good thing that inspired me, and I was more curious to know that what is there in the pitfall trap. So later on, when I got to know about it, that we used to get a lot of specimens which were trapped in a pitfall trap. And now as a beginner, I was not knowing that how to identify these species, because what I know is that we have only some type of species of ants, that is black ant, red ant, and I don't know that so many of species we used to get. So this curiosity took me to the term that is taxonomy. So I learned about taxonomy, that it is the science of naming, describing, and classifying all living organisms in a systematic manner into different categories. So this is just a theoretical definition what a taxonomy has. And we have also learned in our 11th standard, 12th standard, or who have took their science as the stream, they have learned about taxonomy. But then my interest more boosted, then I got a term that is myrmecology. So myrmecology is a term that is related with the study of ants and anything which is related with ants. So then I move forward with my interest, and I move to the ant taxonomy. And for the ant taxonomy, the kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, this everything we know that this is the classes of taxonomy. We classify organism based on this. Then what I got more interested in was ants. So I got interested in ants for the subfamilies which are present. So the data for India as of 2016, which I read a paper which was by Dr. Himender Bharti, sir. It was mentioned in 2000 till 2016. The data mentioned for the subfamilies of ants were 10. The genera or the genuses, those were 100, and species plus subspecies were 828. So this was the figure which is there, 828. It was not a very small figure, because the species which is very least studied and we never pay attention to it are having 828 species. But what we know, most of us, we don't know that. We only know that we are having a black ant or a red ant or some ant which is having both the colors. So we are not very much sure that this much of diversity, this much of species abundance is present of a small species, that is ant. So then I move forward with the taxonomy part. So I learned with the basic steps of taxonomy to learn it. That is the division of the structure of ant, of the body, that is the head, thorax, and abdomen. So this is a photograph of Jordan's jumping ant, where I've marked the head, thorax, and abdomen. So as a beginner, the first thing I learned is the head, thorax, and abdomen. That's it. That's what I learned. Then the next thing what made me more curious is that I saw the ant has an ant queen which has wings, and then also there are other species which are the close relative of ants, that is the wasp and the bees, which look similar. Now for me and some of the beginners and people who don't really observe ants carefully, If we see a ant queen, we see a wasp, and we see a bee, we will not be able to make very like a good difference between them. So that's why I wanted to learn and differentiate an ant from these two species, like these two classes. Then I came across the characteristic feature of ant. So the characteristic feature of ant is something which is only present in ant. So that is the very like identifying feature from and differentiates it from its close relatives, that is the wasp and the bees. The first one is the elbowed antennas. Ant will have an elbowed antennas, pair of elbowed antennas. Then it will have petiole and post petiole. Some will have only petiole, and if they are having a petiole, they will have a post petiole. Then we have a metapleural gland. So these three features are characteristic feature I learned, and this is the key feature to differentiate an ant from other species or other close relatives of ant. Then what happened is that as a beginner, I was now fascinated with ants, so I started clicking pictures. Now I've put a picture of an acrobat ant and a carpenter ant. These are two classes, these are two groups of ants. Now acrobat ant has many various types of species in it, so different species of acrobat ants. Now carpenter ant, it is there are different types and many types of carpenter ants. So to differentiate this, it was not a easy task and not a very good thing that you can identify directly on such photographs with a mobile. So what we use is that stereo zoom microscope. Now stereo zoom microscope, as you can see the pictures which I have placed over here, the first one is a Mystian species of ant, and you can see clearly the structures which are present on the ant's head, the ridges which are present, the structure of antennas, the structure of the mandibles which are present. And the second thing, in the second picture of Ecophila smaragdina, that is the Asian beaver ant, you can see the body structure, the structures which are present. So these minute structure also add up to the identifying characteristic of a certain species. So you need to have a stereo zoom microscope. But what I faced is that having lack of resources, that I couldn't find proper like stereo zoom microscope, and then I couldn't find the place to keep my specimens in a lab, to preserve my specimens. So I faced a lot of difficulties in pursuing my like hobby into a passion, like doing the taxonomy. I faced a lot of problems, but what I did is that we always have an alternative. It's not like if we are not getting something, we are like we should stop over there. We are getting some alternative. So that is my jugaad method, what I use. So I used a compound microscope for my taxonomy studies, so that I can identify the species based on some of their characteristic parts. So the antenna of an ant, this is a photograph of a pharaoh ant, and in this what I did is that if I cannot place a full ant like we can place in a stereo zoom microscope and look at the structures present, look at the look closely to the species, I can do is that I will take some of the parts of the ant which are the characteristic and key features in identifying the species. So I took the antenna of the ant which were having the segments. I can count the segments, and based on the counting segment, I can classify this species is in this class, in this subfamily. Then I also took some of the pictures of the body, that is the petiole and post petiole. Now firstly I will go with the petiole and post petiole which is present in this ant. The petiole, the feature of the petiole is that it gives the flexibility to an ant so that it can hold with its mandibles and sting from backside. And the second one is the metapleural gland which is present. This is the very good this feature of the metapleural gland was very much fascinating to me, because this small gland which is present in a very small creature plays a very important role of antibiotic. Like the growth of fungus and the growth of bacteria does not occur or does not take place on this creature's body. So I will explain one of the very fascinating fact and very good experience of my life at the end of this presentation about the metapleural gland. So next, this is the photograph where you can see this is a pharaoh ant, Monomorium pharaonis, and you can see the petiole and post petiole which is present in this. The second I observed, and what fascinated me more to learn about this species, is that the minute structures, like an ant has hairs on it. Like if we can see, we cannot see it hairs, but if you can observe under a microscope, I observed that it has hairs and other structures, like it has maxillary pulse, it has the structure, the grip which is present on the mandibles. It was really amazing, and that added up to my curiosity to learn more about it. Then the other thing what I learned, and I observed, firstly I observed this species and I was very curious about this, that why these three types of ants are present in my home, and they are in a huge number. So I thought that the purpose I have put these three species in a group, because you will also find these species in your home, and you will always find these species in groups, not alone. So these are the exotic species, and the reason why they are present in a huge number of groups is because these are invasive species. Because the main thing what I really felt fascinating about these exotic species, let me tell you what are exotic species. Exotic species are the species which are not native to India. They are introduced here by some means of transport, trade, or something. So this, what made me fascinating about this is that these ants can thrive and survive in any condition. They can eat anything, they can survive in any condition, and they are having a very good like cooperation and social behavior. But what I observed is that when we are working in Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, wherever we used to find some of the invasive species, like mostly we used to find Anoplolepis gracilepis, that is the yellow crazy ant. That time we used to not get more abundance and more other type of species present over there. So this is the very bad thing of invasive species, that they disturb the survival, like the rate at which the other species can live over in that place. So they occupy the whole area, making super colonies in that place. So they don't give the place to other species to take that area. Then the next thing what I learned, what I observed is that from my childhood, from your childhood also, we saw that whenever we used to get stung by an ant, we used to say that mujhe चींटी ने काटा. We never used to say that mujhe चींटी ने डसा. So we never use these two words differently. We used to say that mujhe चींटी ने काटा. Okay, so what I also experienced from my childhood, that I used to say mujhe kaata cheetah ne, but I never knew that ant also has some of the stinging mechanism. So out of 10 ants, if we take 8 ants will be having the sting, and the other which are not having the sting, they will be have just a acidopore, which I have mentioned, which I have mentioned in the photograph, that it will have a degenerated lancet, that is the sting, and it will have an acidopore. So from that it will spray formic acid for a defense mechanism. And the other end who are having the sting, who have the stinging mechanism, they will have a lancet and a hollow needle like structure, from which they will sting its prey. They will sting the for the defense mechanism if they feel any threat. So next, what I felt very amusing is that the ants nest structure, the architecture which they exhibit, like a very small creature, a very small insect can make such a beautiful like structures of nest. This really fascinated me. And as you can see, this is a nest of a harvester ant, which is very small, not that big, and it makes such amazing nest with the help of mud and their social behavior. And you can see the rings which are present around the nest. It is because the water should not go inside. The water should not go inside the opening of the nest, so that if the water goes inside, the whole colony will die. So that is the reason they make the ring, so that the water should flow outside and not enter the hole. The next one is the nest of the fire ant, and as you can see that this fire ant has a very bad sting and everything, but the architecture what they have made is now we are seeing by the engineers and the architectures. So they make big huge buildings. We see huge big buildings around us with having lots of compartments, storage. But here we can see that an ant, a very minute insect, a very minute creature that we neglect and we like think it's as very underrated, has made such a huge building over here with compartments, and those compartments are predetermined for their storage of eggs, for their storage of the larva and the food. So this is a very interesting thing what I observed, and this made me learn more about it and my love towards ants. And the other nest which you can see, we have seen this nest, whoever goes in the forest and whose house is near the forest, they will see some of like this structure which is present on the tree's bark and somewhere in the junction of the trees. So this is the nest of a chrematogaster, and that is the acrobat ant. We can also call it as a valentine ant, very common name and very good name to remember. And so this ant is a very small ant but can make such a wonderful structure for its like survivability. Then this nest, a weaver ant's nest, we all know about it, and we also know that this nest is of an ant, and ant makes it, made it. We know everything, but the way ant makes this nest, I have spent around 4.5 hours just staring how they were making their nest in my besides my home only. So I was just standing there and I was staring at it, how they were making. So in the first picture you can see some white like thread like structure like silk which is present, that is the larva silk. The ant, what it does is that in this is very fascinating to me, that it first makes the leaves together, it holds the leaves together by showing such a cooperation. As you can see in the second picture, they are holding the both the two leaves together so that the other ants will hold the larva in its mouth and come and put the silk on it to stick the leaves. So this is like a really very intelligent thing which a small creature has. Then the other thing what I learned about the ants is that the nutrient cycling of the soil. So ants, when they make the nest, they bring out the down soil, the down layered soil to up, and the upper soil goes down. So this only shows that the creature, the ant, the insect which we neglect, which we sometimes hate, and which we sometimes don't bother to study, don't bother to look about, is doing such a wonderful job, not only benefiting itself for protection but also giving some of the benefits and major benefits for the soil richness and other species, and also indirectly benefiting us. And then I got to know about the life cycle. Now here's something really amazing fact, that we have seen this species and we have seen some of the black ants also, that they carry some white thing. So I used to think that why they are carrying rice grains. This was my observation when I was I was in my childhood. I was thinking that why they are carrying the rice grains. I was really confused about it. But later one fine day, what I did after when I was observing ants, I took one of the rice grain from an ant, and I saw that it was not a rice grain. That was the egg of the ant. So they were carrying the eggs of the ant from like if this ant is carrying, they are having super colonies, they are having their compartments. So where a queen lays, they carry their eggs from one compartment to other for storage. So this is the very fascinating thing, that from a minute observation, if I can say that okay, then I got more knowledge about it when I closely observed it. So we all observe everything but we don't look minutely. So that is the main thing which added up to my knowledge, that these are not food which they are carrying, these are actually the eggs and the larva they are carrying. And then I observed that one fine day what happened is that a line of ant or a trail of ant was going, and I saw it was of a carpenter ant. A trail of ant was going, and there were same type of like ants, like same size, same structure, it was going. But in the middle, somewhere after some intervals, it was having some of the like big ant which was having more of the big jaws and big mandibles, and also having a big body, big legs. So I was really curious to know about it. So later when I studied more about it, I got to know that as bees, we know that bees have caste system in them, like queen, drone, and the worker. These also ants also exhibit the caste system and social behavior. Like they will have its queen, they will have its minor worker. Those will be in more number, and they will be having some of the major worker that is also called as a soldier. And then the next thing what I was really fascinated about is that being with Mr. Vignesh Shinde and Sir Pranay Bedya, we three were working in Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. And one fine day when we were putting up our transact and we are putting the pitfall traps, we were surrounded in that area by Chromolina plant, and I was digging and I was putting up the pitfall trap. So what happened is that I just saw an insect. I don't know what insect it was, because doesn't look like an ant to me, and neither a spider to me. But I was not sure. Maybe it will be a spider, because I was not interested in spiders at that time that much. But Vignesh was Vignesh was more with the spiders, so he was knowing more about spiders. So I called Vignesh, and Vignesh, see, I don't know what it is. Just tell me what it is. So he just saw and he told me that it is not a spider, because, and also we couldn't say that it is an ant, it is the other insect. So we were not knowing what it is. So we called Pranay Bedder sir and told him that, sir, we have found some of the insect under the leaf, which is still holding still, and it is having like antenna from its neck and something from his neck. We don't know what it is. So he was just shocked, and he told us that where it is, show me. He rushed to the spot, and when he saw this, that it is, and he told us that it is a zombie ant. So we were not knowing that what is a zombie ant, so we were blank. And he told us that a zombie ant is not a live ant, it is a dead ant that is infected by a fungus, and the fungus kills it and takes it to a place and kills it, and then does its own reproduction, and from coming a pulping body coming outside from its neck. So this is the photograph what we got of ant and Ophiocordyceps species interaction. That is the Polyrachis tibialis and Ophiocordyceps species interaction what we got. And this might be the first probable record from this region of Western Ghats. So we are reading the papers, and we till now we have got this confirmation that this is the first record from Western Ghats of this region for the zombie ant. And then the next thing is that what I observed, and what I got the knowledge from others, from my seniors, is that the ant species diversity in Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, that is the 75 species of ants in only one sanctuary. So this is not a very small number. 75 different species of ants only in one sanctuary is a very huge number. Then we had 12 new records for Goa from Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. So 12 new records in the sense they were earlier also recorded from some other states, some other parts of the country. But for Goa, these 12 records were new, and those were only from Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, Mollem. And then we had the first probable Indian record of ant Ophiocordyceps, that is zombie ant for this region. And then the first record of Enochetus species, Mystian species, Strumigenous species, and Parasischia indica for Goa from this sanctuary. So what I wanted to speak about this one, the Polyrachis tibialis, the first probable Indian record, that all ants, as I told earlier, they have the metapleural gland. As I told in my earlier slide in the starting, they have the metapleural gland. But as a course of evolution, some of the ants have lost their metapleural gland because of some of their their biological niche where they stay. So they have lost their metapleural gland, and that is the reason this type of species like the Polyrachis, some of the Ecophila species, some of the Camponotus species, they get infected from these fungal infections and from bacteria, and that is the reason we got this interaction of Polyrachis and Ophiocordyceps in this sanctuary by this. And then the Parasischia indica, which is the record, was recorded from Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, is the second record for this location in India after Kerala. So these are some of the resources which I refer. and I've referred that you can see this, and you can go to these websites, and you can, as a beginner, you can just learn about ants. You can learn about the characteristic features. You can learn about the identifying features by going at these websites. The most important what I feel is that in this antdiversityindia.com, which is specifically for ants, and it is in India. So if someone is trying to learn about ants of India, so that is the good website where you get articles about ants and papers about ants. And these are some of the books. What I feel is that I've read 2 of the books in this, and it's really good to as a beginner, you can get a good knowledge in this by reading this book as a theoretical knowledge, where you can apply your knowledge in a practical field. But I also request Sir Himender Bharti that he tell us more about that, how and what resources we should refer, so that we can get a better knowledge about this. Thank you. Thank you for being a wonderful audience today.
Indeed, a very good presentation, Aamir. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before I move to Dr. Bharti, we will just check if there are any questions for Aamir which have popped up from the audience. Okay, Aamir, there is a question for you. Can ants taken more weight greater than
Yes,
its body? Can ants take more weight?
yes. Ants are actually, they have the, what we can say is superpowers. So they can lift more than, what I can say is that 10 times more than their body weight.
Any other question for Aamir? Okay, I think okay. There's one question. Do we have leafcutter ant species in India?
I actually don't know about leafcutter ant species in India, so I'm not sure about it. Maybe Himender Bharti sir can tell us.
No,
Okay,
there are
not. Okay, so there are
Yes.
no leafcutter ants in India. Okay, so I now request Dr. Bharti to give his comments to our presentation.
Yeah, congratulations, Amir. It was a wonderful presentation, and I was impressed by your enthusiasm, being a young man with so much observation about the natural history. So, what I personally feel is that today I had a lecture in the morning also, and I always keep on stressing that one should always focus on natural history also. By sitting in museums and describing specimens, although it adds to a lot in the knowledge of taxonomy, but you lose a lot of relevant information which is there in the field. So that is good on your part that you are taking into account the concept of natural history also, because nowadays we are moving to kind of methods, what we call as integrative species delimitation methods or species delineation methods. And in those methods, we are no more focusing on a typical or a traditional morphology. We are looking for some other aspects also, and natural history can do wonders in that. There are some of the observations which you can get through ecology and other aspects. So that is wonderful and marvelous sort of information, and that will add to the body of knowledge. And second is that yeah. Second, you asked about the resource. Have you visited Ant Wiki?
Yes, sir. I visited. I
And
usually visit it.
at Wiki, so it is regularly updated, and I'm also one of the contributors. So whatever the keys, whatever is coming up, that is posted on AntWiki. So for AntWeb, you can have the images, but for AntWiki, you can have the other stuff also, the literature, the papers, and other kind of stuff. And third is that most of our biodiversity, which we nowadays focusing, that is in the form of cryptic species. So whenever you have a chance or whenever you want to pursue this interest, I would recommend you to go for cryptic species. So we have multiple definitions for cryptic species. Some of those species which are subterranean or which are not reported easily through typical methods or traditional methods, some of the scientists call them as cryptic species. So we employ different methods, like we have all protocol, which was proposed in 1995 by Donato Agosti. So we can use that, like you have been doing pitfall. You can use winklers also to get the maximum uh, number of species which are present in soil or which are subterranean, because they are fascinating in the sense that their structures are evolutionary different ways of designing, and they are wonderful to look at. So if you look at those species, some are blind, some have eyes degenerated. So that kind of fascinating stuff you can go through. And second kind of cryptic species are those which are, in terms of evolution, are in morphological stasis. So morphological stasis means that and they are in a stage of a stationary time period, that their morphology has not diversified to such an extent that we can delimit them on the basis of morphology. So we have come across such species quite late from Western Ghats and other parts, mostly from leaf litter and other kind of stuff. So that is quite interesting part also. And third is next is that your state is quite underrepresented. That whatever has been generated from Goa, that is through Pranay Vaidya. He's doing a wonderful work. So I must congratulate him, and he's coming up with new species also. So you must work for Goa at least first, and then you can start wherever you want. Because in our checklist also we mentioned, when I discussed with Binoy also, that at least we should split the list into states. Whatever records we have, it might have the errata. I don't bother for that. But first, we have that comprehensive kind of stuff in which we can look that this is the data, whether it has some errata or it has some problems, that at least whatever we have, we can work on that and we can rectify it. So that is not a big problem. So you can work on at least on Goa, and you can start with those regions or those areas which you feel has maximum catch of biodiversity or maximum number of species you feel like sacred parks or like that, which are untouched, unperturbed, or has minimum number of anthropogenic activities. Because at this unprecedented rate, we are losing a number of species due to anthropogenic activities, climate change, habitat fragmentation. So many things are going on. Then I was really impressed by your overall understanding and the jugaad you created for studying the species and their morphology. That is commendable. That is absolutely commendable, given at your age. And since I talked to Harshida in the morning, and she told me that you are a graduate student, so that is really commendable the way you have been doing. So that is a sort of example for the other young ones also. In my lab also, when I see students, they come. Some come with silver spoons and then they say, this is not working, that is not working. So that is not the issue. The passion should be high and you should work for that. When I started, I had a microscope and I ended up having cervical spondylitis because that microscope was traditionally Indian made and you have to put your neck constantly under strain. And I used to put 2 table lamps on 2 sides and my hands used to burn. And when my students started working on those microscopes, they said, we can't see anything in these. Because at that point of time we had high resolution microscopes, that is Nikon and Leica. So these kind of problems or obstacles, that is really commendable that you have tried your level best to do that. And the way you have talked about life cycle, then that Ophiocordyceps fungus, there are a couple of papers from JOA. You might have seen he came up with a nice phylogeny of zombie ants, and then behavior also. It was published in Proceedings of Royal Society, I think this year, and one was published last year. I told Pranay also. So you can run through those publications, because one thing is for sure, the more you will read, the more you will learn. Because observations are good. Observations are good. It is always good to have observations in the field and record those observations. But if you have a good reading habit, that will work tremendously for you. Even now, I get very less time out of my busy schedule, but till the evening, I try to finish out what has come up as new. So if I miss something, I still feel that something is missing by the end of the day. So you should read more papers. If you will read more papers, that will add knowledge. And next time, while you will in the field, you will feel that something has grown up, something has come up. So that is more important. Like on zombie ant, then on life history studies, then you have worked the invasive species. There are a lot of papers on these coming up. There are supercolonial structures on cuticular hydrocarbons. So a lot of stuff is coming up. So it was a wonderful presentation and I really enjoyed it. I must congratulate Arannya Foundation, Harshida, Pranoy, and you also. So any kind of help, any kind of support you need from me, I will always be there. All the best.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope, Amir, you will inculcate all the information that sir has given you and try to do your research more and make us all proud, right? Yeah. I'll take one question which has come for Amir, and then there are many questions which have come for sir from the public. So there's a question for Amir. Jiban asks, "Hi Amir, as you have mentioned about Parasycia indica, is it a new species from India?"
So what I know about Parasisca indica is that it was first reported in from Kerala. Then the second record that was recorded, it is from Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. That's what I know about the Parasisca indica. So only two records from India.
Okay. Uh, okay, so now I'll take questions which have come for you specifically. So there's a question by Chauhan Vivek. He asked,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. My
If you
question,
want to, yes, go ahead.
yeah, if we want to start work on ants, so from where we can start the work?
Now, what kind of work you want to do, whether you want to do taxonomy or kind of life history, but it is always better to understand the basic fundamental plan of a particular organism which you want to work. So it is always better to start with studying morphology. That is, you can study their life history, you can study their morphology, and you can come up with that. There's a nice book by Snodgrass on insect morphology, so you can start reading that book, and then you can start focusing on ants.
Okay. Uh, okay. There is question by Krishnakant Bakshi. He asks, "Sir, any climate change effects on ants?"
Now, this is a wonderful question and tough too, because still we are garnering empirical data on this aspect, and very few publications have come up. Some are stating that there is a habitat shift or some sort of elevational shift in other insects also, but as far as ants are concerned, there are few publications from some groups. I have gone through those, but they are in laboratory. So no such publication is there which can provide empirical data, whatever is happening in the field. But there are few groups, still they are working, and they have done these kind of temperature changes in the laboratory, and they have seen there are some effects on those, on ants.
Okay, and I think this is a field where we can people can explore, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity wherein people can work on this subject. Okay, yeah. So, sir, there's question by Ashwit Shetty. He asks, "Do cordyceps attacks only ants, or it attacks any other insects?"
No, this Ophiocordyceps is a huge genus. There are multiple species, and now in terms of evolution, some are specific to ant species also, and that is a sort of diversification they have undergone, but they can also attack other insects also.
Okay. Let's see what we have next. Again, question by Ashwit Shetty. "I have studied in internet that rufous woodpecker build their nest within the next of acrobat ant nest. Is it true? If
Yeah, it is
yes,
true,
the
and
reason."
Amir has also shown one nest, I think, in his presentation. So that is a sort of association between ants and this rufous woodpecker, especially from Western Ghats. So it's a sort of mutualism. Both are benefited in the sense that the nest is built up, then the woodpecker can keep its fledglings into that. So that is a kind of support, because from outside it looks like something of ants. So the predators cannot attack the young ones.
That's nice. Any other questions? Okay, this question by Karishma. She asked, "Can you list out the major anthropogenic activities that affect the population and species density of ants?"
Yes, we can say one is climate change, but I said there is no empirical data for that to substantiate that. But there is habitat fragmentation, and there are other anthropogenic activities like grazing, habitat fragmentation, deforestation, which affect the population and species density.
Okay. So before we move to next public question, sir, I have one question for you. Like,
Yeah.
what fascinated you to start working on ants, and especially using ants as your subject, and especially a taxonomy field, which is like people really don't want to go into taxonomy, but we all know that it is basis of everything. It is basis of wildlife and everything that we have around, right? So, what fascinated you more to take ants as a subject?
In my graduation studies, in fact, it was a social behavior, and still I am fascinated by that. Apart from taxonomy, I would try to focus on their life history, their behavior, and other aspects also. So it was typically the social behavior which fascinated me a lot in terms of evolution. And during my graduation, I was hugely influenced by Edward Wilson. So I have read all of his books. So that was the major factor, especially I owe it to Ed Wilson.
Okay, so I think reading is the basis that started your key interest here.
Yes, I. That's what I told Amir. If you stop reading, you're gone.
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
There's one more question actually which popped up in my mind this morning. Uh, so I just noted it down for because I didn't know how to frame it. So what I wrote is: do you think that charisma and social media attention attached to a particular animal makes it more alluring to study them? For example, people would prefer butterflies over beetles, right? So, what is your thought on this?
No, that depends because yeah, I agree partially to this, but it depends how you promote the kind of subject you're dealing with. If you can promote it to the public or to the citizens, then you can get a lot of attention. But in case if you are not interested or you're not promoting, so all these things go hand in hand. That as they say in English, if you have it, flaunt it. So that is important over here also.
Yeah, right. And I was wondering that most of the policies that we have for conservation are
Yeah.
mostly centric in the larger, either larger mammals or to an extent to birds, but
Yeah.
not to a lesser known fauna, right? And during such situation, even though we know that they are equally important in our ecology, right? In such certain cases, how do we make our policymakers or government to understand this scenario that okay, these species are also important, and sometimes like for example, if you conserve area for a tiger, not necessary they will also provide a particular system for lesser known fauna, right? So how do we grab attention of government or policymakers towards these subjects?
No, I think scientists can do wonders, and I've been pressing hard to the advisors also that there should be some focus. And obviously, I think DST is doing something on that. Uh, they are coming up with some plans, and you might have read there is a Half Earth project started by Ed Wilson. So he has
Okay.
come up with a nice idea that we should vacate half of the earth for other species, especially insects, so that we can survive. So these
Okay.
kind of initiatives would really help. So it is a prerogative or the responsibility of persons sitting in institute in universities and as well as citizen scientists to
Hmm.
make the public more aware for such kind of activities. If the public is more aware, obviously the policymakers will be affected. If we don't react, nobody is going to be impacted or nobody is going to be affected.
Right, because we have seen that many people do lot of projects, do lot of research, but it doesn't come out in the public, and that is where I think we fail as a scientist, wherein our data cannot be used for policies, right? So it's very important that we
Yeah,
come out.
for that, social media is quite important. That you can put your data, but again, there is a problem that there's a lot of problem with data stealing. That if you put your data on social media, like I discussed with Pranay also, there was something. It was already there on the social media, and somebody has taken it out and claimed it to be his or her own. So that kind of problem is there. But science has its ups and downs. So when you are there in the field or when you are there, you should be exposed to such kind of risks.
Right, right.
And secondly, especially for ants, we are coming up with. I had a meeting last week with our other scientists working in Southeast Asia. We are coming up with a newsletter. So
Okay.
that is a sort of newsletter and newsletter in that students like Amir or others can push their ideas and they can be published. So they can claim that they belong to them. Instead of going directly to media, they can send those ideas to that newsletter. It will be edited. It will be handled by some English editing team also, and then finally it will be published. Full credit will go to the person who has contributed.
Okay, that will be really nice platform for youngsters to contribute.
Yeah, I will share with you. But in the meantime, if students or if somebody is listening, if they want to contribute, they can send it to me. We will try to publish as soon as.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, there is a question by Ashwit Chetty again. He asked, "Can I contribute my observations in Ant Wiki?"
Yes, you can contribute, not the observations, you can contribute some good photographs and other kind of, because observations, whatever has been posted on AntWiki, basically they are authenticated or substantiated by the published work. But otherwise, as far as photographs are concerned, if you have some good behavior photograph or life history photograph, then you can do it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Amir, there is question for you by Shashikant. He asks, "Is ant lion an ant?" Amir, I think your mic is mute.
Sorry, my mic was muted.
No, no problem. No problem.
Yeah. So one fine day I got an ant lion in my home, and I asked someone that what this. So she told me that it's an ant lion. So why it is an ant lion? Because as the name suggests, it is not an ant. It eats an ant. That's the thing. That ant lion. What I know about it, ant lion. So
So
usually we don't see the adult. We don't see
it
the
doesn't
adult.
belong to It doesn't belong to Hymenoptera. It belongs to Neuroptera, a different order, and they
Yes.
predate. That's why they are called ant lions,
Ant,
because due
yes.
to their predatory habits of their larvae.
Yeah, they are called so. Okay, Amir, there is another question from Suhail for you. He asks, "Amir, when ants move, I have observed that they meet each other along the way. Why is that?"
So what I know about it is that they have their feelers. So they take the pheromones from that and the behavior, like where they have to go to, where their food is there. So the feelers by the pheromones, they give the pheromones so that they can go and go to that location. That's what I know. So maybe sir can put a light on this more.
Yeah, that is. There are cuticular hydrocarbons also. So when they tap their antennae or have the feeling of those cuticular hydrocarbons, and that is a sort of nest mate recognition.
Right. So there is one question by Gaurav Naik. He asks, "Which website or app can we use for ant study?"
Yes, AntWiki you can use. There is AntWiki, Ahmed has mentioned. Then AntWeb you can check. On that there are images. On AntWiki you can have the keys, and you can have a nice presentation of ant morphology also on the side panel of that website. You can find there are different kind of links. That is morphology. Then you have life history. Then you have other kind of behavior. So one by one you can read about those sections, and then you can work and you can study the ants.
Right. So since we are talking about the apps and website, who do you think are the prospective people and institute that our younger generation can approach for studying lesson on fauna, like for example ants?
A couple of institutes are coming up now. Indian Institute of Science is there. Then NCBS. Some people are doing good work on butterflies and other kind of. But now it is coming up. There's no issue. They can join me also and others also.
Okay. So there's question by Mr. Anand. He asks, "Any work going on in India for utilization of ants to manage agricultural pests?"
Yeah, some students are working in southern India. Maybe I don't remember exactly in Coimbatore to manage the use of this Oikophilus margidina to control the pests. So that kind of work is going on. But this field is huge, and one can focus on different directions.
Yeah. Right. Okay. There is a question by Pranay. He asked, "Any comments about taxonomy losing its relevance in recent times, especially zoo taxa losing out from IF ratings? It's really sad."
No, It's really sad, no doubt about that. But the problem is that we taxonomists are to be blamed for this as well. Because most of the time, yesterday I was reviewing a paper for Zookeys, and I found that was a huge list of different species which they have reported from parts of the world. And in that list, they have put the papers, they have given the names, and then in the reference section, that was altogether missing. So we have been doing like that. So that is also bad. But now the good news is Zootexa is coming back. Prannoy, they are looking Clavidate, they are looking back at it, and obviously they have committed that within next couple of weeks they will come up with the impact factor for Zootexa. So that is a good news.
Okay, that's a good news for everyone, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, okay, that's great news. Uh, okay,
But
so
I think at the end I must add that we should not run after impact factors.
yes, yes, right,
There
sir.
are there are a couple of scientists in India also which can I mention who have worked a tremendous work, but they never published in such high impact factor journals. Although they are required for your appointment, for your promotions, we also face the same problem. But what you can do is you can publish 2 3 papers over there, and rest you can publish in those journals which have a wider circulation. So sometimes we can do like that also.
Right. Thank you, sir. We are done with the question and answer session. I would like to thank on behalf of our team, Aranya, to for joining us today. And it was really inspiring to listen to you because there are many few people who will actually try to encourage youngsters. We have seen, and Amir, you are really lucky to listen from sir directly, right? So please take his wise advice and do good for your future studies. And Amir, if you'd like to add something before we end the session, that would be nice.
So first, Vignesh is having his question. So
Okay, so there is a question for you again. By far, how many zombie ants have been recorded in India alone? Two
No,
is
I haven't
one.
seen anyone. That Pranoy reported one, and one is there on social media. Somebody else has reported. So,
Okay,
as far as they are species specific, earlier it was thought that they are not species specific. As I said, that nice phylogeny by Joy has come up last year or early this year, and in that they have shown that some of the species are species specific and genus. So we can run through that paper. That's a wonderful paper.
okay. Amir, you were saying something?
yes, sir. As now I have started learning ants, and I have some of the knowledge about ants. So the next thing what strikes me is that where should I go now? Like I'm getting a lot of now I'm getting a lot of options. So I don't know where to go, where to from where to start, so that I can have a not non-ending journey with it.
That
So if,
depends upon you. What is your passion? Whether you want to work on taxonomy, you want to work on life history, so or you want to study the social behavior. So that is up to you. So there are
so
if
but
you want to do, yeah, yes.
yes, sir. If I want to study taxonomy, so if I want a platform, so that if I am studying, then I should get some of the resources, so that whom should I contact, like whom should I ask for collaboration, like if I can do work with you all, so that I can get the resources for me, because getting resources for myself, it's not they are not for the individual purpose. If I get it, that's the thing.
You're always welcome to visit my lab. There's no issue.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Amir. And once again, thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And before we end this session, I would like to thank everyone who are attending this session live, to all the youngsters and the other audience that are present. And I would also like to announce that next week we will have Gaurav Naik and Ratnesh Shirodkar, who are also graduate students, who will be talking about their wildlife experience and how they got into environmental awareness programs in their area. So it will be also nice to listen from them in next week. It will be on Wednesday at same time. So I thank you all every once again. Thank you so much, sir. I think
Thank you, Handa and Prannoy. It was my pleasure to join you.
yeah,
Also, all the best, Amir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.